Hey guys, Drifter here. I hope you enjoyed the classic Modern Warfare 2 PC gameplay while we talk about the upcoming Modern Warfare 2 2022 edition. Too many twos in this intro, but the point of today's video is to talk about the fact that an industry insider has claimed that Modern Warfare 2's DMZ mode, which is kind of like Tarkov, is not going to be free to play. Many of us assumed that it would be free to play as a part of Warzone, but the current rumor and best information we have is that Warzone is going to be the only free to play thing, and the Tarkov mode is going to be tied to the paid game, so you have to buy into it. We're going to talk a lot about that today, and briefly, I kind of get it. You know, Activision and Infinity Ward, they have to secure the bag. Sometimes you have to secure the bag, and sometimes I have to secure the bag. Which is why today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. You can go to nordvpn.com/drifter using the link down there below in the description and use code Drifter to save up to 69% off. And I wish I could say 69% was a made up number, but it's not, and that is just too perfect for me. You can get NordVPN for $3.49 a month or about 11 cents per day. And you might be asking yourself, well, what is a VPN and why do I need it? A VPN is an essential security tool for your internet browsing and almost any type of file transfer. It helps hide your IP address and thus your identity from prying eyes, which these days, let's be honest, everybody's trying to pry in and kind of see what you're up to, from governments to corporations. So having a VPN helps prevent a lot of that. You can set it up very easily with a PC app, mobile app, or a one-click Chrome extension. And one of the more fun things about this is you can access Netflix, but from other countries that have an entirely different film catalog and not just local to that country, but sometimes American stuff that's otherwise restricted here. You can do the same on Amazon Prime, Shudder, Crunchyroll. Just about any streaming service is going to give you totally different stuff as you geo-hop around, so it more or less increases your value. NordVPN is incredibly fast. You can watch all of these videos in HD 4K. They've got 5,500 servers in 60 countries. I've never really run into whatever bandwidth cap is there. I can just say that it's very fast. They don't have a cap on your data transfer, no data logging, 24/7 support. It functions in China somehow. I don't know how they managed to do that. And you can even double VPN if you want. So a VPN is an internet privacy and security tool that doesn't cost very much and in some cases can unlock more internet for you, which is nice. So if you want to sign up, go ahead and click the link down there below, go to nordvpn.com/drifter, use code Drifter and enjoy that 69% off. So now that the bag is secured, let's talk about why they made the decision that they did. Modern Warfare 2 currently has an insane amount of hype and expectations, and I mean more outrageous than Modern Warfare 2019. Somehow, eons later, the Call of Duty hype cycle has built this game up yet again. Even though Vanguard failed, Cold War ultimately failed, love the 80s stuff, but it still failed. This is the one where all the money is riding on, and no small part of that is Warzone 2. To be honest, people are kind of sick of Call of Duty Warzone. Warzone 2 is looking really nice. People are very hyped about that, but people are also very interested in the campaign for Modern Warfare. It had a modern, gritty campaign. It made sense. It was cool. You know, it's going to have some kind of zombies mode. The zombies community's off in their own different orbit over there. I'm not even going to comment on that. And then the big surprise was this rumored DMZ mode, kind of like a Tarkov Light or Tarkov-like kind of game where you can really win things and really lose things permanently, and it's probably going to be played on the Warzone 2 map because that's going to be the only thing that's big enough. And since it's going to most likely be on the Warzone 2 map, we assumed naturally it would be free to play like Warzone, or a lot of these kind of games are either free to play or relatively cheap to buy into, right? And I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, it's going to be the same map, it's going to use the same assets. If I installed Warzone, it should just boot Tarkov, right? And that makes sense from a gameplay perspective, from like a player perspective, but when you look at it from the business perspective of the company, well, it has to make money. And right now, Activision and Infinity Ward need a certain amount of physical sales of revenue and not just free-to-play or microtransaction revenue. There's something really weird that goes on where they need to justify to multiple sets of shareholders now, and Papa Microsoft as well, how many units are being sold, how many monthly active users there are, how much people are spending per month, how much money did we make Sony, because Sony gives them, I don't know, like, I'm just going to pull a number out of a hat here, like $100 million, go make your COD game, make it Sony exclusive, blah, 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 right? And they have to sell so many copies on PlayStation and so many copies on PC, and they need that initial boost of money to basically cover development costs, and then everything else after that is profit. And in no uncertain terms, since Microsoft is acquiring Activision, that pressure has been doubled. There are now multiple sets of shareholders that are very interested in those initial sales numbers. And I said physical sales, I don't necessarily mean the disc. I think the digital downloads probably counts. Just however you hand over that 60 or now 70, 80 bucks. I think they'd prefer the digital downloads. They actually make more money that way. And paying for some of these things makes total sense. Paying for campaign for a story game, that makes total sense. Basically, every campaign or story game in existence ever, any experiential type game, you just pay for. You pay your flat fee and you're done. It kind of makes sense with a small buy-in to Zombies, since that is a sort of its own campaign, and their previous attempts at turning it into microtransactions were disastrous, so I'm happy you're paying for Zombies. And I do admit that paying for multiplayer does kind of make sense too. It's a classic retro nostalgic thing. You know, you play for multiplayer, but if multiplayer were free to play, it would be kind of like Warzone, and you would have the unlimited accounts and the reverse boost accounts you can buy and the cheating accounts. It'd be flooded with that. So paying for multiplayer kind of puts you in a more premium pool of players that are less likely to be cheating and less likely to be doing bizarre things. So in theory, you pay for it and you get a better experience out of that, right? Personally, I'd still love to see multiplayer be free to play, a little bit of COD online kind of stuff, a little bit of COD mobile kind of stuff, but they've got a different plan for their North American releases. So logically, if we're paying for all of that and Warzone 2 is the only announced free-to-play aspect, it does kind of make sense that they want Tarkov players to also pay to try out the DMZ mode, because Tarkov is a massive game, and I think it's made by Battle State Games, if I'm pulling from memory correctly here, and it was like $15, $20, $30 buy-in, like PUBG. A lot of these sort of older BR-ish or Tarkov-like games, like survival games like DayZ and stuff like that, have a relatively cheap buy-in. I know that PUBG went free to play, but for ages it was like 15 bucks. So the idea is that, well, if all of our competitors are like $15 to $30 buy-ins, we can be 60 or 70 and add all this other stuff on top to get people interested, because what they want to do is they want to poach these really hardcore players and get those guys back into the community, and they think that Tarkov players are a prime community to target. However, all of this worked out, or will work out. At the end of the day, what happened is that somebody somewhere in Activision, probably in the accounting department, sat down with their giant abacus and slid the beads back and forth and calculated this as the best way to maximize revenue based on marketing data, based on past purchasing data, based on industry data. They probably have like a whole team of PhD level microeconomic degree type people just sitting there calculating this, just constantly trying to maximize that revenue. And somewhere in that calculation, it said, hey, if you pay for DMZ mode, it's going to make more money. And once that decision is made, the entire company top down sort of gets in line and makes it work. And I've said this before in like many videos over probably the last 10 years, Call of Duty as it is too much game. There's multiplayer, zombies, additional horde modes, side modes, story, battle royale, now Tarkov, and a collection type game, and a free-to-play, like so much going on, and it's made by so many studios. It's like the Adult Swim parody Too Many Chefs, which, by the way, if you're bored at the end of this video, you should totally look up Too Many Chefs. It's a little boring, but it takes off. You know, you have too many modes to play, the player base is wildly split up, they all want different things, and you can't allocate development resources appropriately, so every cycle, one or two modes end up getting screwed. But there's so much stuff to do in Call of Duty now that it's almost like a lifestyle gaming all-in-one package. Like, if you just wanted to play Call of Duty, there's so much game for you to play, you could probably just do that indefinitely for the rest of your life. Maybe, but I don't think that can be sustained forever. It's kind of like the Disney Plus model. When you want to be everything to everybody, everywhere, all at once, great movie, by the way, you just cannot sustain that. It loses its magic. It's like people have been criticizing the YouTuber Moist Critical, who's fantastic. He's been still makes great videos, but a lot of the content is pretty similar. So even though it's all brand new, it still feels kind of the same. And Call of Duty is kind of finding into that same sort of quagmire, right? And I'm really hoping that the reason for all of this might be the big tech overhaul that's coming, the gigantic engine overhaul that's coming to both regular Call of Duty and its Battle Royale and Tarkov type components, and the very high likelihood that Activision is going to force Treyarch and Sledgehammer to both use whatever engine Infinity Ward is using, Raven as well, so that we'll all be playing on the same engine, running the same assets with the same development team with less bugs, and hopefully this centralization of assets and engine and code will make the game a lot better and a lot easier to manage. That's the real optimistic scenario here. That's what I'm hoping for. It could just be more of the same, like spaghetti code and hodgepodge kind of stuff, and they just want you to pay for things. We don't know because the game's not out. Guys, that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed some of my opinions. Thank you for all of you that have been enjoying these opinions for we're approaching multiple decades now, which is kind of crazy. And also, I wanted to let some of you know here, the super fans that made it all the way to the end of the video, I'm bringing back the Dream series in YouTube Shorts form. I've been experimenting. I think I have 4 or 5 recorded, and it's pretty hard to condense them down to less than a minute. So I'm thinking about making a paranormal TikTok account just for like wild and crazy stuff that I can't do and still be a respectable person here. So be on the lookout for that. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.